I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Maddie Hockaday. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Good?
Good to go.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, welcome to Park Pals. Maddie is here now, which is exciting. Yay.
I'm so happy to
Yay.
be here. I hate when I'm not here.
I know, but it's okay. Life is important. Anyways, okay, so we're on season 5, episode 14, Leslie and Ben. I do have some things to add from emergency response last week because, like I said in the last episode, I didn't give the guest stars as much time as I feel like I usually do. And like I said, I also never give them like a ton of time anyway, which is why I'm always like super stoked that everyone responds as well as they do. But we got a lot of voice memos, which is wonderful. And so I'm going to go ahead and play those. So I asked Peter, who played the chef in the French restaurant that Tom asks to cater the gala, he sent in a voice memo, which was so nice. And I'm just going to go ahead and get started and play his voice memo first. Thank you so much for sending that in. Let's hear what he has to say.
Again, thank you for having me on your show. I think this is awesome. How did I get my part on Parks and Rec? I auditioned for Dorian Frankel, who was an awesome casting agent. And I had auditioned for her for a few things before and knew the kind of tone that she liked to have in the auditions. She's super helpful, one of those great casting people that wants the actor to win. I went in just kind of slightly, I think I wore a chef coat, but was just giving a slight chef feel to it. And they did have sides for us for that, where we were just basically telling Tom we couldn't do it. It was a fun read, and I remember getting the call not too far after the audition. So it was really awesome, and one of those great days. I actually had a lot of auditions that day, so it was one of those fun, like, true actor days. My day on set was awesome. It was at the Sportsman Lodge, which is now partially a mall. But back in the day, it had conference rooms and stuff. And when I got there to set, they were filming other scenes from other episodes. So there were a ton of people there. I got to meet some of the cast. I got to meet Lucy Lawless, who was there, who I later became friends with through another friend. And we laugh about how I remember her that day and she doesn't remember a thing about me, which is very funny. But everybody was amazingly nice, treated me like I was this guest star. So thankful for me to be there. It was an awesome set. I was so fascinated by it because what they would do is they would set up a scene somewhere and they'd go and film that and then be setting up the next scene. And then, like, as you mentioned, Dean Holland, he would go from spot to spot and they would film. It was so efficient, so crazy great, and different episodes. So I was enamored by that. And then Aziz came in and he couldn't have been more fun, more nice. We improvised most every time we did a set. We filmed it a bunch of different times. The writers were there. They were laughing. The funny thing about the scene is they said, let's do some funny cities like Buffalo, New York, or Orlando, which are I'm from Buffalo originally, and I lived in Orlando for a very long time. In fact, I'm answering these questions from Orlando. It's been like my second home. And so the fact that they even did that, I thought it was crazy. Aziz would have an idea, we'd play with it, we'd go. We weren't there super long, but it was just awesome to just have your basic skeletal system of the scene, and then we could do whatever we want. And me coming at him like that was something I had come up with that they really liked. They literally had me do one scene. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'll break this code, I guess, where I just said the F word the whole time. Like that was my reaction to everything he did. And it made us all laugh so hard. So then I took that energy without saying the F word and added it into the scene. So I love the scene they chose. They gave us so many opportunities to do so many different shots. It was quick. It was efficient. It was beautiful. I see why everyone I know that worked on that show, I have so many friends who've done the show, just loved it. And every single person was awesome and amazing. Aziz, afterwards, we took a picture together and he was just really, really sweet and just told me how funny he thought I was, which, you get that compliment and you're like, wow, I made one of the kings laugh, right? Like, I've done a lot of guest star on a lot of different series, and it's always so sweet when they welcome you so generously. Let's see. Right now, sadly, I don't have much to promote. So if anybody's listening to this and has a job for me, give me a call. I do coach actors and I teach acting. So look up my website, peterallenvogt.com, if you want to check that out and see. Maybe we could hook up and I could teach some people some stuff I learned in the 30-some years I've been doing this wonderful job. Again, they were all amazing. I will say working with Dean Holland was fantastic. He always knew what to say and was so much fun with the choices we were making. So he was brilliant. And it was efficient. I think I got to set at noon, and I think I literally left there like by 4. And it was right down the street from where I lived. It was most convenient shoot I've ever done in my life. And again, like I said, everybody was awesome. The crew couldn't have been nicer. They just made you feel so important. And again, I think that's why the show had such massive success on top of all the amazing talent. So if you have any other questions, send them to me. I hope I'm doing this in time. I'm sorry, I've been so crazy. I am doing some work here in Florida, but it's nothing like people can come and see. So let me know if there's anything else you need. Let me know when I can hear this. And I can't thank you enough for thinking of me. I really, really appreciate it. I love that episode. It's been airing a lot lately. I've been getting a lot of calls from people and, people who know me, who know the Buffalo and Orlando connection, kind of crack up when they hear those lines and stuff. And I tell them that story. I don't know if the writers knew that and they were messing with me, but in the end, I think they went with the Orlando and it was just great. But letting me yell at Tom and follow him and chase him like that. And he was like going, pardon, pardon, pardon. All of that was made up. The whole section was improvised. And that was probably the best part of it, was that I think everything in that final cut that you guys see, we both made up. I think we improvised most of that scene. So thanks again. Please contact me with any information else you need. If you want me to answer questions better, if this is too rambly, if you need me to do this on my phone. All right, I'm going to send it to you now, and hopefully I'll hear from you. So again, Holly, thank you so much. And I look forward to listening to your podcast. I didn't even know about it. So I'm going to check it out. So thank you.
Oh, what a sweet guy.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
That was very special.
I love that scene so much. And just like I think you see Aziz or Tom, right, as a character, like goes in with this confidence of like, I've got this. And then he's like, like, and gets all frazzled. I think it's just that I've always really liked that scene. So I'm glad that we got to hear from him.
Yeah, and I love that idea, or like picturing that in my head of him saying fuck just like a bunch of times to him. And I know that if they aired that, they would have just bleeped it and it would have been normal. But that's really fun to hear. And yeah, I did hear that the Sportsman Lodge is now like this whole complex thing. It was like an institution. I used to like live pretty close to there. And yeah, it's kind of wild that it's now become this whole situation. I think there's still a lot of construction going on over there, and also he said he met Lucy Lawless, who is Diane, and I don't know why she was on set, because she hasn't been in these couple episodes.
Right. He said that it sounds like they were filming a couple different episodes in the same day, which to me, I never would have thought. I would have thought they were doing, they went episode by episode, especially when it comes to guest stars, right? Like,
yeah.
But
yeah, because I didn't see anything in her deleted scenes with her. But I mean, because that's really interesting. I don't know why she would have been on set. Maybe there was a deleted scene that they didn't put in the DVDs, just because like the last episode, this episode, and next episode she's not in. So like that's 3 full episodes. So I
Right.
can't see them storyboarding 6 or 5 episodes at once. But that's cool that they met. And I
Yep.
mean, because that's not normal, I feel, to always like meet the other guest stars and like have a conversation and then, you know, become friends and stuff. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Very cool. I think this.
And yeah, I love hearing. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that this opened my eyes to the editors, like how amazing they are, because you think about how many takes they did, and then you think about that for every scene of the show. It's like, how
Mhm.
many hours do they spend like deliberating which is going to be the best scene?
Right. And all the improv that they
Mhm.
did as well. But I feel like by this point, especially it's Dean. Dean is so well versed in this now. I mean,
True.
he had 8 or 9 seasons of The Office. I mean, at this point, it was probably 6 seasons, I think, by the time Parks got to season 5 or something.
Mhm.
But anyways, either way, I mean, Dean like knows exactly what he's doing and like what he wants, but also the editors that are not Dean, I'm sure, knows what they're doing too. But that's really cool. And yeah, I that is not normal too. I mean, we learn it time and time again. Not normal for like them to ask guest stars to improvise as much as they did, and B, for them to get out within 4 or 5 hours. Like, oh my God, that is so efficient.
Yeah, that's
It
very
is
efficient.
insane.
Well-oiled
Usually
machine.
it's like a 12-hour day for these guest stars that only have like a couple lines, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that sounds so fun though. I'm glad that Peter got to like improvise and just play, I feel, because you know, it always makes you nervous, I feel, that, you know, and so I'm glad that they use that, because usually I feel like we've heard a lot of instances where they do fun runs or improvised sections and they don't end up airing those.
Right.
So that's really cool that we got to hear that the part part was
Yeah.
improvised.
Because it's such a good such a good part of the scene.
Yeah. And Orlando, I love that. That's really funny about that little, like, you know, coincidence.
Yeah. So
But
good.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Peter, so much for sending that in. I'll post everything in the show notes as far as like where you can find him and all those things. Good luck on the voiceover gigs. That's super fun too. Okay, so next up is Jim Hanna, and he played the committee member that tells Leslie if she gets the money for the park, then she can get the park, because right now they're leaning towards Jam because he has the money for it and she doesn't. So that's the whole reason for this gala. He sent in a voice memo, and I will say before I play this, he also sent me an email saying, because I always ask them what they want to promote and, you know, what we can follow them for. And he says his website is jimhanna.biz, so I'll post that in the show notes as well. And he posts career updates and other info. He says he also has a channel on YouTube, which mostly consists of funny web videos I've made over the years. I'm quite proud of some of them. I have some future TV jobs that will be coming out in the next month or two. NDAs keep me from saying much, but I'll soon appear on Matlock, that new CBS Matlock. 911 Lone Star on Fox, which is a crossover because Rob Lowe was on that.
Mhm.
And The Pitt, which is on HBO Max. I have seen not necessarily trailers, but I've just like seen the picture because HBO Max is where Friends is, and so when I put Friends on, I
Yeah.
see that the Pitt thing. I don't really know what it's about yet, but congratulations, that's a lot of
Yeah.
shows to be on. I know
Seriously.
I read it as 3, but even 1 is a lot, so that's awesome. Good job, Jim, and thank you for sending in a voice memo. So we will see what he has to say. I'll go ahead and play that right now.
Hi, my name is Jim Hanna, and I played Bill on Parks and Recreation Season 5, Episode 13, Emergency Response. So, in asking about my audition, I realized I didn't remember much about the actual audition. I am what you would probably call a middle-class journeyman actor here in Los Angeles, where I've been working steadily for almost 25 years, but I'm not exactly a star or a famous name. I mostly do small guest bits on TV shows and occasionally a movie and some commercials. I've been able to make a nice living at it, but mostly I'm just there for a day or two. And so this just fell into one of the sort of many auditions I was having that I've had over the years that I have sort of forgotten the details of. Though I do seem to recall that it came at a time when I wasn't getting a lot of auditions, and so I was very excited to get an audition at all, but much less for one of my favorite shows, because I have been a huge fan of Parks and Recreation since the beginning, a huge fan of Amy Poehler and the regular cast. It's a show I was already a fan of, and I got a job on it, so I was tickled. So my day on the set, The one interesting bit of background for this is that it was in November of 2012 that I filmed this, which the election of November 2012 had just happened the night before. So obviously we were shooting on a Wednesday, and Obama had just won his second term. And as you might know, Amy Poehler is a pretty well-known Democratic supporter, and she was giddy all morning long. I shot in the morning, and as you might imagine, it's a Los Angeles set, so a lot of Obama supporters in the cast and crew, and so everyone was sort of walking around with a little extra lift in their step. So in addition to being what seemed like a very fun and happy set for all of the seasons the show was on the air, there was a little extra pep and energy and happiness on the set that day. And Amy was texting in between every take, because she'd be texting a friend like, oh my gosh, isn't it great? Isn't it great? Obama won. So that just added to sort of the joy of the day. I was a little nervous, though, because one, it's one of my favorite shows, and I respect all those people so much, but also because I tend to just pop in briefly on series that are already well established. One of your main jobs is to show up, do your job, and not screw anything up, because they're a well-oiled machine, and if you come in with your 5 or 6 lines and you can't remember one, or you keep stumbling, or you do something wrong, you get a lot of side-eye from like, hey, the guest actor is slowing us down today or screwing up these takes. So I was squeezing a little extra tight that day because I didn't want to screw up, and I also, quite honestly, I wanted to impress these people I have laughed at so many times over the years. The actual scenes went really well. Not too much to remark upon there. I don't remember getting any line changes from the writing team in between takes. And I think I ad-libbed once or twice because it seemed like that would be okay. And I am proud to say that one of my ad-libs did make the final edit. It's not even that funny, but I'm delighted to be a part of the history of Parks and Recreation with a line that I threw in. And if you watch the scene again, it's when I'm eating the burger from Councilman Jam, and at one point I guess I sensed a lull in the scene, and I saw the bag of food there, and I reached over and I said, "Are there curly fries? I love their curly fries." Not especially funny, but it made the final edit, and it was an ad lib, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm very delighted to be a part of the Parks and Recreation experience that way. You asked me about the fun runs, which I assume then is something that your listeners are familiar with, so I won't have to explain that. But I had never heard of a fun run 12 years ago when I did this. I've since seen it a couple times on jobs I've had where, you finish shooting the scene, you get it to where everyone likes it, you've done all the setups and takes and camera angles, and we're ready to move on, but let's have a little fun. And so I just hear the assistant director call out, "All right, next one's a fun run, everyone. Next one's a fun run." And I had a little moment of panic because I didn't know what that was. I had a thought. And as everyone just kind of settled into their business and got ready for action to be called, I leaned over the table and I go, "Amy, is a fun run what it sounds like? Are we just ad-libbing?" She's like, "Yep, that's exactly what it is." Again, I remind you, she was in a very good mood that day. She was very positive about that. So the fun run started, and the same thing. I am a bit in awe of these folks, and I love their show so much. I don't want to screw it up, and I also don't want to insert myself too much in this because, again, it's not my job that day. This is for them to play around and have fun with. I said to myself, if there's a spot where I think I can throw something in, I will. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think anything from the fun run by me or anyone else made it into the final edit. I did have one little moment that's, I guess, slightly notable, is that Aubrey Plaza, and taking a moment to say my heart breaks for Aubrey Plaza and sending my thoughts to her and her family, but she was one of my favorites on the show, obviously, and she didn't say much at all during the fun run. So we're doing the fun run, and there's I'm happily eating my burger, and Aubrey Plaza says, "Hey, that burger is made out of cockroaches." And I froze for a second, like, okay, this is an opening for me. They're actually giving me a spot. I could throw in an ad lib here, but I choked. I didn't come up with anything. I just kind of stared at her and then kind of shrugged and went, "Oh, well, still good," and just kept eating my burger. I've since kicked myself, like, there was something I could have done there. There's a great joke I could have landed, or I played with her a little bit more in the fun run that way, but it didn't happen. Overall, like I said, it's one of my favorite jobs ever. I'm still proud to have had anything to do with it. just last month, I started a rewatch from episode 1. And so thank you for asking me to be involved with this. And yes, it was a great time and can't wait to hear the podcast. I decided to add one little addendum here. A bit of trivia, maybe interesting, maybe not, maybe you'll use it, maybe you won't. In the scene where, so we've shot the main scene around the table, and then there's a scene where Amy does her interview with the cameras, like, mockumentary style. And you can see the people around the table in the background of the conference room are still happily eating their burgers, slightly out of focus. And we were told, do not actually eat the burger on these takes, because you'll eat through your burger and we don't have a lot of backups yet, so we got to save your burgers. So only pretend to eat and chew and enjoy the hamburger. So if you watch the scene again, you will see that I'm happily chowing down on my burger behind Amy's shoulder, but I'm actually not eating the burger, which if you look close enough, you can kind of tell I'm definitely not. Anyway, just wanted to add that real quick. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. I'll definitely leave that in. I think that's a great tidbit.
It is, yeah. Something that we might not catch either, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What great behind the scenes information from Jim. That is so great. And from Peter. Oh my God. Amazing. First of all, I took notes, as I always do during people's voice memos, because I didn't listen to either of those before today. But the journeyman actor thing, I have decided that it would be so wonderful to be a series regular, a movie star, or whatever. But all I want is to be a journeyman actor. All I want is to get one role per month or per every other month and have that be what I get paid for. I would just be so glad about that. Oh my God.
What a life.
To get to be a part of so many different roles and to potentially be called back and work with so many different people. And yes, it is, like he said, it is very I would imagine it's very nerve-wracking because these people have the well-oiled machine and you're coming in as a guest star. But I think I would imagine that once you get used to it, unless it's a show like he said that he is really into / already nervous because he knows the show, I would imagine that you do the thing and you do your job and you get out kind of thing and have your fun and whatever. So I would imagine you get kind of used to it. But yeah, so I'm really happy that he is doing that and gets to be that journeyman actor. That's such a dream.
Yeah, so cool.
Ugh, so cool. And then, yeah, I do wonder, that is really interesting information that 2 guest stars remembered the election from that year, which all elections I feel are a big deal, but Obama's a huge deal. So, and we talked about a little bit in the last episode that Pratt probably wasn't as happy that Obama won. And I feel like most sets are going to be liberal, but not all. You never know.
Yeah.
Or not all the people. It's not a monolith. LA is not a monolith. So, anyways, so I am interested. I don't know. My brain just wonders, did Pratt and Poehler ever talk about it, or did they show their disdain, or I wonder how that went on set, or did they just try to keep it professional and whatever happened kind of thing? Obviously, since he won, she was excited, but I'm sure, I don't know if she was just yeah, fuck you guys, Obama won. I can't see her doing that, but maybe. But I don't think she would. I think she would just be showing her happiness and positivity that Hope won.
Yeah.
Which was Obama's whole platform for both times. So that's very fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And there are a lot of people who vote different ways and work together or still are friends, right? I think especially back in those years of elections, it wasn't so divisive. So
I agree.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Crazy. Oh my gosh, the curly fry line. I love that line. I'm so glad to know. I'm so glad to know that was improvised. That's lovely. I think that's great. And to even think about, I don't know, did we even know that Paunch Burger had curly fries before? I don't think so.
Right.
He just made that up in the lore of Paunch Burger. Love that so
cool.
much. And also, yeah, I guess by this season, they didn't think they needed to tell people what fun runs were. But if there's a new person, I feel like I would have been freaked out too if I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
You should probably tell people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Amy was, helpful. And I'm glad that he asked, because I feel like there's a lot of people that wouldn't have asked. That would have just been okay. And speaking of fun runs, that the cockroach line that Aubrey Plaza had and him not responding, I think that's the exact right response.
I agree.
In an improv situation.
I
to
agree.
just stare at her and be oh, well, I'm still eating it.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, and I think that fits the lore as well, that nobody cares what's in a Paunch burger. They're all going to eat it anyway.
100%.
So,
And yes, thank you for saying that. Our hearts do go out to Aubrey Plaza. That is insane and something that no one should ever have to go through. So I'm really hoping that their family is okay. And the wildfires in LA that everybody is kind of going through, I've seen a lot of people that I follow from parks that either had damage or completely gone. So, I mean, great start to 2025. Am I right?
yeah.
This trial season sucks.
Yeah.
But anyways, so hopefully, and I'll post some places where you guys can donate if you want to, but I know that you guys have probably already seen them if they're on the, if you're on Instagram or anywhere really, it's all over the place where you can donate.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jim, for that, and I will post all of your information in the show notes as well. So the last person that we have, and I'm sorry, but I have to play all these people because it's just wonderful, but the last person that we have is Kenny Stevenson, who plays Jim Kaepernick at the Pawnee News Station, and he sent in a bunch of our voice memos and emails throughout our time with parks, and he's also the one that handed out cookie dough and calcium chews to Diane's kids, and he's the one that tells Ron to keep taking calls, and he takes Joan's pulse when she's hungover, and she's like passed out essentially. But yeah, so this is Kenny's last episode because he's been on, I think, 3 or 4 now, maybe 5. One was a deleted scene. But yeah, so thank you, Kenny, for sending this in, and let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, so again, apologies for the delay on this. It's been quite a week in Los Angeles, but Parks and Rec was always a great place to escape to, and this episode was the last time I was on the show. There was a couple other times where I was put on hold, but I got cut out or whatever. The thing that was really significant about this appearance on the show is it was my 4th appearance, so I started to know some of the directors and the actors. They were more familiar with me. Nick Offerman remembered my name, which kind of blew me away. He was like, Kenny, right? And that episode, because it's Joan gets drunk and passes out and Ron takes calls, they actually wrote a bunch of other alternative calls for him to answer. Like 1 or 2 are on the show, but we actually recorded like 5 or 6 different calls. And then with each call, he and I got to riff like on reactions. He'd look at me, and then we did a bunch of me throwing him some cues, and then he just like had a bunch of lines that he improvised. They gave him some wild lines of just things to fix. Like at one point, I don't know if it's in the show, there was a very detailed like how to fix a bike chain that he went through. But the thing that just really stuck out to me was that, you know, usually when you work on a show, you, especially like as a guest star, you're only doing a couple lines. It's pretty quick, especially like on a show like Parks, that's really a well-oiled machine. And, you know, every other time that I'd been on the show, it was, you know, a couple of hours maybe. But this was like a solid like 45 minutes to an hour of just me and him. A camera on me and a camera on him, just kind of going back and forth on things and riffing and playing. And I had heard so much about there being like takes where a fun run, I think they called it, where we get the crew, people would go off the script, but I never did that. When I was there, we always stuck to the script. So it was fun to just sit and play with Nick Offerman for an hour, improvising and having fun. And it was like one of my all-time favorite moments, working in LA, frankly, but definitely in terms of being on the show, and having that be my last appearance, is pretty dang cool. All right. Hope everyone's staying safe. Bye.
Oh, thanks, Kenny, so much for that. Yes, I hope you're staying safe too and that everything's okay. We'll reach back out and just check on you later.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Yeah, there's a couple deleted scenes where, yes, Ron does take a lot more calls. I didn't see a ton of deleted scenes with the reaction, so they might have cut that out just in like scrapped it all together. But yeah, so there's a couple more deleted scenes of the calls that we'll get to later on. I'll explain a little bit more. But that's so cool that him and Nick Offerman kind of created that little relationship. That's really fun. And I'm glad because, it's something that Mike Schur is so good at, and Greg Daniels bringing people back to really create this town, which, you'll see as we get into more episodes too. So thank you, Kenny, for sending that. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jim, so much. And that's awesome.
Amazing. So grateful.
What great information.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So season 5, episode 14, Leslie and Ben. Love that Leslie's name is first, by the way. Great. And this was written by Mike Schur and Alan Yang. No explanation there. Dream team. Love this so much. If you're new here, Alan Yang was the bass player in Mouse Rat. So just FYI. This was directed by Craig Zisk, who we've seen from Parks before. The first one being Sex Education. Love that episode. And we'll see him more later in this season and in season 7. He's also worked on Tulsa King, which is on Paramount. I always get those two confused. Oh my gosh. It's either Al Pacino or Sylvester Stallone. I think it's Sylvester Stallone. But anyway, whatever.
That's awesome.
Craig Zisk has also worked on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Elementary, American Auto, a ton of things in this comedy realm. I think he did Scrubs as well. So like he knows what he's doing. Totally. Like he just fits right in this world. Side note, I do feel like there weren't that many deleted scenes in this one. I feel like they got everything right in this first version just because it was, all about that one big A story, essentially. And they had a cute one where Chris and Ben, they had a cute deleted scene, and I just wanted to mention this before we get into it just because it's the only one that there is. And Chris and Ben go back to their memos, like their emails, where Ben is like, we have to do something about Leslie Knope. And Chris is like, why are you so focused on Leslie? And Ben responds with, whatever, shut up. Like, it's not even a big deal. And it's very cute. And I wish they had aired it. But obviously, I get why they cut it because they had more things important. But I just thought that was really cute to bring back their first like,
impressions,
run-in with Leslie,
Yeah. Very cool.
Anyways, okay, well, I'm ready for a summary whenever you are.
Okay, let's do it. Short and sweet, because...
Okay.
Okay. Ben and Leslie plan the best wedding ever that holds a lot of twists, turns, and punches. Andy awaits his fate with the police department.
Yes.
I feel like everybody's pretty focused on this wedding. So
100%.
There's no
the gala
huge
and
B
the wedding.
stories going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, also, okay, so when I first started watching this, I don't know why my brain was just like, was this the aired version? Because I don't remember them talking about the parents and explaining the date. I mean, I'm glad they did, but I was like, oh, they did talk about it. I don't know why I don't remember this part.
I do, but I don't know if it's because I've watched this episode so many times recently that it just was in my head. Because there definitely are some scenes that sometimes pop up and I'm like, I do not remember that.
I know. It's crazy, but I'm glad they explain it because Leslie says, my mom isn't here and your parents aren't here. And Ben is like, good. Which his parents, yes, it is better. But I kind of want his or her mom to be there.
I know. That's how I felt. I have the exact same note. I was like, I get why Ben doesn't want his parents there, but what about Marlene? This actually seems like an event that she should be attending as a government employee too. Especially if she supports Leslie in getting the money for her park.
Sure.
Yeah. So... I don't know. That was weird
bummer.
to me. Yeah. Maybe they just couldn't get her.
Yeah, I know. Maybe she was doing something or didn't think about it. But yeah, it doesn't make sense in the Leslie lore of why she thinks it would be better that the parents aren't there.
Her mom was such a great support to her when Ben's at the engagement party when she was struggling with Ben's parents. It wasn't like she added fire, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Really strange. But it was worth mentioning. But so, yeah. Anyways. Then she explains they do have a spot reserved on May 16th. That's when their original wedding date was. And they just ordered white chocolate top hats. For what?
Which Ben didn't know. Yeah, I thought about that too. I was like, is that their wedding favor? Is that like, what is it?
Sounds great, but I'm like, what? Cute.
Oh my gosh.
And And then Ben is very special and cute and is just like, yeah, we reserve the space, but we can get married whenever. And I'll marry you on any day, any time, but doesn't right now feel right? And it does.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah.
It's very special.
I think it's very.
And I love. Oh, go ahead.
I think it's so cool to see like Leslie, who struggles when things aren't planned out and to every single second of the day, that she looks at this and is like, no, Ben is worth the chaos. And I think that's just really, really great.
I mean, and I also think she thrives in chaos, so she likes
True.
that it's chaotic.
True.
But also she just loves Ben so much. But I was going to say, like, last episode and in this episode, Leslie will really say some like random offhanded things. Like when she said, I don't want anything at Macy's for my registry. I just want to be married to you. And then Ben kind of runs with it. So I feel like it's really sweet to see like her saying these offhanded things and Ben making them a reality. You know what I mean? Because she's like, whatever, it won't happen, but I guess I could try. And Ben's like, no, we can do it. Let's do it.
We'll make it happen.
And I think that's really special.
Yeah. It was very sweet.
Yes. And now that they've decided that they're getting married tonight, Leslie says it's bad luck for them to see each other, so they can't look at each other, and they're back to back, and it's very special and cute, even
Very
though like
cute.
they already saw each other that whole day.
Yeah. It's the thought that counts, that now that it's officially their day, it's like, okay.
Right.
So
they have 2 hours to get ready, so let's meet at Anne's house in 10 minutes with everyone. And this is kind of funny, this whole like name change moment, and because like Leslie is shocked that Ben is asking her to be Mrs. Wyatt or whatever the hell, and it's a deal breaker. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think if I was watching this for the first time ever, I'd be like, what the fuck, Ben? Why would you bring this up right now?
Right.
But since I knew it was a joke, and also the way that he says deal breaker is definitely jokey. Like, it's a deal breaker ? Kind of. But yeah, then he makes a look to camera and everybody's shoulders are like, and Leslie figures it out too.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause she's making a name for herself. And I think this is a conversation that everybody probably has when they're, because you can't just expect, especially now in the world we live in, you can't just expect that a woman's going to take a man's last name. And so why didn't you talk? You're getting married in like 2 or 3 months anyway. How have you guys not talked about this yet?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which is why it's like a total joke, because Ben knows that Leslie would never do that. They don't need to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow, okay, so now they're at Anne's house, and the code names for Ben is Falcon and Leslie is Turtle Dove, which I still like that. I think that's kind of cute.
It is very cute.
And they're still back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing where Leslie starts throwing demands at Anne for hair, makeup, all the things, cake. Anne is super calm and chill because she says she's been preparing this for her entire relationship with Leslie.
Yep. And Rashida,
she
acts it so well. She's just like, yeah, I don't care. You tell me what I got to do. It will get done.
Yeah. So I had the best teacher, who is Leslie, who is
crazy. I love that.
I know, it's so good.
Oh.
Well, Ben is trying to get the logistics down and saying that they need rings and marriage licenses. Chris will take care of rings. Andy and April will do the marriage licenses. And Ron will walk Leslie down the aisle. That's so sweet and special.
I know. It's so precious. I love it.
Me too. And I feel like they say it kind of offhandedly, but it's really just so beautiful that Leslie like requests this, you know?
I agree. It's so wonderful. And it's, I think you think about it and you're like, there isn't a better person to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah. Yeah, which is another reason why her should be there. I feel like her mom could walk her down the aisle on the other side or something.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway. Okay. Moving on. Tom is going to be the officiant, and he's going to combine Steve Harvey and Ryan Seacrest for his vibes as the officiant. Steve Crest. Oh my God. Because you can get ordained online in like 5 minutes. So he's like, okay, sure. I'll go ahead and do that.
Yep.
And then Jerry and Donna are just making sure the gala runs smoothly. So everybody has a job. Everybody's told what to do. It's very like boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Let's do this. You know what I mean? So it's good.
I love that Jerry's still not dressed for the gala
or
this wedding.
Poor Jerry.
Poor
my
guy.
God.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, now we're at the pawn shop and we see this Lurpus character again.
Yes.
Herman Lurpus.
Yes, from the Lurpus family. Yeah.
Yes, from the legendary Lurpus family of Pawnee. If you're new here, just go on IMDb. There is a whole story. But regardless, yes, Herman Lurpus works at the pawn shop, and this is the guy that bids to go on a date with Anne, and he also works at the pawn shop. Ben and Chris are looking for wedding rings, and I just love that the nails and jewelry are combined.
Yeah. But be careful because there's also nails.
Yeah. Right.
He says it so matter-of-factly. So.
Yes. Like it's totally normal.
Yeah.
And some were nipple rings at one point. How do you know that? They were his. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. We're not doing this.
So that option is out, and they leave.
Yeah.
And then we immediately cut to Andy and April at City Hall. And it's really sad. Like, Andy is just so hopeful that he's going to be told that he's going to be a cop tomorrow. He thinks everything went great and that he nailed it.
Yeah. He's so excited.
I know.
It hurts.
Bummer.
Yeah.
And then April finds the marriage licenses, which is great.
Is this
and she takes all the rest of them.
Legal because they're city employees that they went in and like took a marriage license? Because like I remember you had to pay for it. You had to get it signed and stamped. You had to show your driver's license for them to even put your names on the license. It was a whole process.
I know. I feel like it's not legit, really. I mean, the fact that it's signed by Ethel later is legit, but
right.
I don't think that even if you work there, that you're supposed to go in and just like steal a marriage license.
Yeah, probably not.
But I guess if they got in trouble, they could just say they did work there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right that it's not super real.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Andy jumps out the window totally unnecessarily because he thinks that it's going to be like a fun cop moment and whatever. But yep. And now we're back at Anne's house and they're looking at Leslie's wedding dress, which is unfinished because it is 3 months early.
Yep.
And
how did the seamstress not do this?
Right. Seriously. Don't take the job if you're not going to get it done 3 months early. Also, I was wondering too, like, I don't know. I feel like she's getting this like handmade or something because typically you go like the dress is made, but you just go in and get it altered.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has got to be like a custom situation is what she was going to do.
Right. It sounds like it.
Yeah. Because, and typically I feel like it would be with the seamstress. Why does she have it?
Yeah. I don't know either.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, it makes sense for the show at the end, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense for why you would have it. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make sense in this one. So
I agree.
Okay. We're just accepting it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for love, we're accepting this for love.
Absolutely. So Leslie says the marriage license needs to be signed by the city clerk's office, and April is like, "I'll just forge it. I'll just whatever. I've forged government documents all the time." But Leslie doesn't want to do that because she wants to do most of this correctly. And so they have to figure that out now, which is kind of sad because it sounds like everything's falling apart a little bit.
Yeah.
But well, and the reason is because Leslie gets a call and Ben says that he thinks that there are some rings at Andy and April's house, and she gives her orders and then she's going to help Ben. It really is like a Mission Impossible moment.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible.
Mission, yes. I do have to say one of my favorite lines is when she's like, well, how did Cinderella make her dress in squirrels and birds?
It's not very helpful.
Not very helpful. Yeah.
I know. I know. I didn't even really think about her not, like, she shouldn't be in possession of the dress.
Yeah. Why do you have it?
I'm going to say she got it, or Anne got it from the seamstress. Like, Anne was like, just give me the dress for now. They
but at like
called
10?
in a seamstress to help. You know,
they could have, yeah.
But yeah, I'm guessing that that's what they did because that's what they did with Ethel. So I feel like they
just showed up at the house and they were like, "Give me the dress."
Yeah. Well, anyhow, back at the gala, Donna and Jerry are talking about all the Indiana lookalikes. There's Orville Redenbacher. He was from a town called Brazil in Indiana. I looked up where all these actual people were from. LaToya Jackson, Gary, Indiana, which obviously is going to be the same as Michael Jackson because Jackson 5. Well, she wasn't in that, but you know what I mean. She was a sibling. Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses, who was born in Lafayette, Indiana, and David Letterman, who's from Indianapolis.
Very cool.
Fun.
Love
and then,
it.
of course, we've got a little Sebastian.
Yeah.
Lookalike.
Yeah.
Coming. And then Jerry, I don't like that they gave Jerry this moment. I mean, it's funny, I guess, but I'm just like, it's almost like parts of like Joey on Friends and Rose on Golden Girls, where it's almost like too over the top. Even though I do get it, it's like, I don't know, half pee, half orgasm.
Gross.
I know.
Anyway. But then he gets to the house and he doesn't even take care of it, Holly, because he gets distracted by Tom.
Yes, and under his breath, he's like, third time this week.
Yeah. Yikes.
And I'm like, Jerry.
You did not just give birth. You do not have an excuse.
Yeah, do you need to like go get that checked out, sweetie?
Yeah.
Like what? Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love Donna's moment though of like, you nasty Jerry.
Yeah.
Like
so well delivered as always from Retta.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tom is frustrated because the certification for getting ordained takes 24 hours to actually get. So he has this idea, well, because we learned that Jerry is actually ordained, so he could do the ceremony and Tom just can do the speech or like do the writing of it. And Jerry can, you know, say the things that Tom wrote. I don't know why they didn't come up with the idea of Tom just saying everything and Jerry coming in at the last minute in the first place.
In the beginning, yeah. Yeah, that seems like the most logical thing to do.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And it is kind of sad that Jerry didn't mention that he was ordained. He was just like, oh, well, I'll let Tom do it because I just want them to have their moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about that too when Tom offered, you know, I was like, Jerry could have said, I'm already ordained, but he was kind of just like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very nice that he agrees though. And Tom says they open on a monologue for the Will Smith modern cinematic classic, Hitch.
Such a good film.
Hitch.
Oh, yes. It's so well done. Yes. But yeah, I love that movie. It's great.
Well, Ben still can't find the rings. And Leslie says maybe it wasn't meant to be since we can't find anything. It's like everything's falling apart. And then Ben notices that it's snowing, which is the first magical moment. And then they turn around and they see a little Sebastian lookalike.
Yeah.
A licensed lookalike, by the way. And it's a sign.
Yeah. So here's my question, though. She must have not gone to help him find the rings. Because aren't they in front of Anne's house?
Which house are they outside of?
Because little Sebastian's there. Why would little Sebastian be outside Andy and April's house?
Yeah, that's true. I know. Maybe she was just because, yeah, I don't know where was he coming out? I can't remember. I feel like he was coming out of Anne's house.
I feel like he was too. Yeah, because she is facing the street.
Yeah.
So when they turned around or when they're back to back.
Yeah, maybe they didn't go.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't go out. Like maybe, yeah. See, a lot of things don't make sense as far as continuity goes. But maybe he didn't go, or maybe she didn't end up going to April's and Andy's, and he just like already made the decision, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. And then they just met outside.
Yeah,
but yeah. Either way, we see that this little Sebastian lookalike is there, but Leslie is stuck to the fact that it's real little Sebastian and that it's a sign. But his name is Bucky, and I think that's really cute.
No,
it's little Sebastian. And the wrangler for the little Sebastian impersonator is yet another Lurpus, who I've talked about because he's only been in a deleted scene, but he's actually played by one of the Parks writers, Dave King. So shouts to Dave King. He's been in a ton of things and written for so many comedy things. And he'll make an appearance, I think, a little bit later on as well, as a rabbi, I think, in like season 7, marrying Craig, I think. But anyway, he comes back. But the important thing to know is that he's a Lurpus as well.
Yes.
And then he's like, yes, ma'am. And Leslie says, no, it's little Sebastian.
So good.
Anyhow, I did want to say before I move on from that. So the pawn shop guy is Herman Lurpus and Dave King is Kurt Lurpus. And then we'll learn some other Lurpus names as we move on.
Okay.
So then we get to Anne saying that she has a good idea for the dress. And she says that she's been watching a lot of Project Runway lately. And so she has this idea that she's going to try to pull off. And Leslie's like, okay, designers, make it work.
So good.
The Tim Gunn impression. Love it. You have less than an hour?
Yeah, there's no way.
That's insane.
I don't think realistically, because the thing is she's not even starting work on the dress, right? She's sketching.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. But I will say the end result is very Project Runway.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. Yeah, and I could see, I mean, maybe if she had a sewing machine or she already had the idea, then, like, I guess maybe she just worked really fast. Because it'd be one thing if it was a long dress, but it's a short dress. So
That's true.
it could be done, I suppose. But anyways.
Yeah.
Well, next we have Miss Beavers, where Andy and April are trying to get a signature for the marriage license. And I love how offhanded / like chill she is about not being married. She just had a date and he slept over.
Yes. Oh, I know. I had a date tonight.
so
it went well.
Yes. I love how nonchalant that guy is too about, not nonchalant, but like not as nervous, I guess, or anxious about like, just Ethel, is it robbers? Really good.
Yeah, very, very good.
And I love her little nightgown too. I loved it even before Andy said it. I like her nightgown is very precious.
Yes, I love it. And I love that they are like, we want you to be part of our family. Like, you're such a cool person.
Yes, I love that too. Oh my gosh. And I couldn't find this guy who slept over. I want to say his name is Barry from IMDb, but I couldn't find any pictures or anything, so I don't know what his deal is, but great work, sir.
Yeah. Very
Wherever
well
you
done.
are.
Did a great job with your line. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And rest in peace, sweet Helen Slayton Hughes. That's her name. Yes, she is no longer with us, but she, oh my gosh, she lives on. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Forever.
Mm-hmm. And they adopt her as their grandmother, like you said. We love you, Grandma. It's very precious. I love that very much.
So cute.
Okay, so I guess it didn't work for, like you said, the rings to be found at Andy and April's house. So Ben and Chris are looking for rings in Anne's jewelry box. And Chris says that she has terrible taste in rings and everything looks really gross to Chris.
Yeah. I love this. Is this a ruby that's gone bad?
Yeah.
This brown stone.
Oh
That's
my
so
God.
funny.
And like a toe ring or whatever. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, hilarious.
Yeah. So I think it's a nice little nod to like all the phases that Anne's gone through.
Yeah,
the toe
totally.
ring.
That's true.
But the thing that gets me is like, are they just these are just going to be like temporary rings? Is that what the plan is?
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm assuming they picked rings out that they just haven't picked up yet or whatever.
Well, they might not have bands yet.
Right. Yeah. But
You know what I mean? Like she probably has her engagement ring, but
Right,
they
but
might
not
not
the
have
wedding
bands
band.
yet, so they would just use it as like as a temporary thing, just for the ceremonial process of placing it on their fingers.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
saying
know?
is like, because like that's something you're going to wear forever. You're going to pick one of Anne's pieces of jewelry out to wear forever.
I'm sure if they found a good one, they would have maybe, but no.
Yeah.
I think it would just be temporary for the tradition of it all.
Yeah. I'd like to say that because my first thought when it's like we need rings is like Ron is really, really handy with this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first thought was, why are we not asking Ron for help with this? But part of me is like, is that just subconsciously because I've watched this episode so many times? You know?
Yeah. I would have never thought of Ron to make a ring.
Okay,
Even
yeah. So it's
after
probably
watching it,
subconscious.
But it could be. Ron is handy with anything. I always think of Ron with woodworking. I haven't really in the show seen him as much with metal working, even though I know he's very capable and he could.
Yeah.
But I guess in my head, I didn't think of him to do that. But I mean, yeah, it could be just in general, knowing Ron is handy, that you thought that. But anyway, so Ron says he could help. And he has this little James Bond stance, like making his little cufflinks be perfect. And I'm sorry, I don't know. I just felt like Ben in this time could be a little bit more open-minded. He's sounded kind of condescending to me when he's like, how? Like, how could you help Ron?
Yeah.
And he even did that with the emergency response when Ron says he'll go on the air with Joan. And he's like, how are you going to help? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Ron is like, I'll go on the air and answer questions and not cry. And Ben's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Fair point.
He
so
deserved
I'm just like,
that
Ben,
shade.
can you just, right, literally. And I was like, Ben, can you just like, you're in a pickle. Can you listen to Ron? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why
like-
that grated on me for a little bit.
No, but I get what you're saying, right? It's like, you're the one that decided to get married in 2 hours. Okay.
Mhm.
You're the one that made this decision. If someone's offering to help you, you don't question that.
Yeah.
Like,
I just feel like he always underestimates Ron because
Yeah.
I get it. But because Ron is like wants to be underestimated, especially at work. But with this kind of stuff, it's like this is the personal side. So get it together.
Yeah, he'd do anything for Leslie. We know that.
Yeah, totally. Well, anyhow, speaking of that, so Ron rips off the sconce off of the wall because it's metal, and we'll learn what he's doing with that later. But it is very like jarring. You're like, oh shit, okay.
It's aggressive.
And then, yeah, aggressive. Jerry is reading Tom's speech, and it's awful. Jerry is doing very poor at reading Tom's words because it's just not in his wheelhouse to speak like Tom does. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this especially was the part where I was like, why didn't Tom have the idea to just say everything he wants to say? And then Jerry just steps in to like do the official husband and wife moment. You weirdo.
Yeah. I think, you know, like we can see it now. It's like, why wasn't this the first thought? But they needed to get the funnies.
Yeah, fair. Well, Donna's at the gala making a speech that the gala is over, but the wedding will now be happening at 11:01 p.m. when the gala's over, and everyone's invited to stay. And my first thought, honestly, seeing that was like, can you imagine being an extra in that tent?
Seriously. Oh my gosh.
That would be so fun.
Oh, absolutely. Well, just from the filming of the gala and then the fact that you get to be sitting there for Ben and Leslie's like wedding too.
Yeah.
So cool.
Dream.
Crazy to me though that they're going to have all the drinks and food be on them.
I bet there aren't that much left.
Fair point.
That's kind of what I was thinking when they said that. I was like,
You're right. You're right.
They're just going to run out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you're completely right.
But even if they had more, I'm sure Leslie and Ben have saved up for the other wedding, so they'll just put that money towards this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
This actually might be cheaper because now she's not paying for the whole dress.
Right.
Ron's making rings that typically go at like $400 at minimum.
God, crazy.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
They're saving.
There you go. Leslie asks if everything is going okay because she comes into the gala tent to ask Donna, like, how's everything going? Yep. And, oh my gosh, dumbass Jam has a megaphone shouting bad things about Leslie. He's such a poor loser. He can't get over that he doesn't have this park now for Paunch Burger. He's clearly drunk. And I know that Jam is terrible and we've always hated him. But the more we analyze this in this podcast, I am so over him and mad at him and just like literally, fuck you. Get out of here.
It's because to me, there should be a line, right? Like there are awful people, right? Every facet of life. But like, this is her gala. This is turning into a wedding. It was just announced that she's going to get married here. Like, step off it.
Like, take the hit, bro.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Yeah.
You got drunk. You got your shit. You clearly enjoyed the gala's drinks.
Right.
So get out of here.
Well, and it sucks even more that it's like, he wasn't trying to better, he didn't lose bettering the community. He lost money for himself, which just makes it it makes it worse too. For like, he just looks worse because of that too.
Yeah.
So, but I will say the way he chants this, like lives rent free in my brain, like the cadence of it. No one wants a park here. Parks are stupid. Hate it, but
yeah.
Like,
and I'm sure John Glazer like absolutely improvised the way that was said and how he like threw the stink bombs and all these things. Like Glazer is great. Yeah. Jam is terrible.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's how you know you have a good actor is when you can like the actor and they make you hate them. So
yeah. But yeah, she says, like, it's over. I won fair and square. Like, get over it, dummy. And then, of course, she steals the megaphone and has to rise to his level, or stoop to his level, if you will. And, of course, Councilman Hauser is there to see them bickering as per usual. I just love that they bring him in like that. It's so funny.
I know. I love that he's just, like, on call as an extra, or not an extra, guest star, for any time that Leslie needs to be caught acting like a child with Jim.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked about that. I'll post his interview again, as I will always do if he's on the show or any episode or whatever. But yeah, when we interviewed him, he definitely it's so funny looking at it now. You can absolutely see what the writers were doing, but in his head, with his like kind of actor insecurity, was like, they don't think I could do anything else. They're just giving me like one-liners. They just don't think I can handle more. And which is so not true. It's really just because he was the comedy to be like the dad figure almost, or authority figure or whatever, catching his children bickering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Love that so much.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, Ben is now tying his bow tie, asking Chris if it's right. And Chris is like, no, it's not right, but it's perfect. Like literal friendship moment.
Yes.
So cute.
Yeah. I love these little back-to-back moments with Ben with Chris and Leslie with Anne. Like it's just
special.
really, because I think, you look at a marriage and it's like so cool between those two people. But like, as you very well know, like the bride needs her best friend. The groom needs his best friend, like to stay strong and always to lean on. So it's like this really nice reminder that while this is about their marriage, it's also about the people they surrounded themselves with and just the specialness of those relationships too.
Yeah, that is nice. And I mean, to your point too, with this gift that Chris gives to Ben, the letter from the State House telling them that they had been assigned to Pawnee, like what a thoughtful, beautiful gift that I don't think anyone really would have thought about. And what a way to like enshrine that moment in your memory.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And I, not to be sexist, but I feel like that's a very like, not a lot of guys typically come up with something like so thoughtful, but it's so on par with Chris. Like just who he is.
Chris is just so thoughtful in general.
Yeah.
I think he can give gifts like that for sure. And the whole 8 weeks turning into 3 years is really special too, because it's a little bit of meta, because Rob Lowe was not supposed to stay on the show either.
Right.
So I think that's really cool and wonderful that they can stay as actors too and have this little moment. I'm sure that wasn't meant to be like part of it, but it is nice to kind of reflect on that.
Yeah. So nice.
Love it. And then we see our amazing next scene with Leslie's dress that Anne finished. She gathered up memos, bills, articles, made it into a dress, and it's just so wonderful. We interviewed Kirston Mann, who did the costumes for this and pretty much every other Mike Schur show. And so I'll post that in there too. She was a great interview and gave us so much wonderful information. I did email her just to because as a reminder, I just wanted to just briefly ask her wait, did they actually sew that? Was it already made kind of? Was it written into the script? And she said that it was written into the script, that it was going to be like the newspapers and memos and stuff. And she did confirm that they made it from paper sewn into fabric or sewn together on fabric. So that really is paper. And they really did make that themselves.
So cool.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. Oh.
And what a cool gift to be given as a costume person, I feel, to have that written into the script.
Well, because you think
that it's already there.
Right. And you think about the show, it's like typically you're dressing someone in like work clothes or, their, date night clothes or whatever. It's just typical like what we wear every day. And this is like a costume almost. Like a very cool way to be creative and 100%. Very cool.
I like that line. It is like the Ann Perkins of dresses. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, very, very cute. So it's so thoughtful. I think it's just so perfect for Leslie. I think when you ship a relationship in a show and they're going to get married, in your head you build up this like what the wedding's going to be like, all that kind of stuff. And I think Parks and Rec really surprise you with this because I think you're waiting for this wedding to come and it's like, oh my gosh, it's here, it's happening, and it's just so beautifully done. Like I can't imagine Leslie in a different dress. I can't imagine like a different ceremony, like the ending, but it's it's
beautiful. They did a great job. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Yeah. Well, and then Andy comes in and he thinks he's not supposed to see her. And then that's a really funny line too, when he's like, no, that's the groom. Well, I saw him too.
I wonder if that was improv.
I know. I don't think it was. I think that got a laugh. I feel like I read or heard in the other podcast that got a laugh at the table read or something.
Oh, okay.
But either way, it could have been improvised the way he says it. It's really funny. And then April says everyone's ready, so let's get on down there. And Ron is walking Leslie down the aisle. It's so, so cute and beautiful. Everyone's smiling and happy. And then I have literally in all caps, stupid Jam. I hate him. What a little bitch. He starts booing. Like, he starts booing.
How
And then on
awful.
top of that, he calls her a beehole and then a stink bomb. Like, what are you, 5? Get out of here.
Why do you have a stink bomb? Also.
Oh, my God. That is a funny line, the Amazon Prime moment, but
Yeah.
still.
Okay, so
It's
that's
just
what
so
I thought
insane.
of. It is insane. That's what I thought of when Tom says, "This is America. I want it now." It's like Amazon has
Right.
created that in us.
100%. Yep.
Because I don't know about you, but we have a huge warehouse here in Phoenix. And so there's like a good chunk of stuff that's like, do you want this between 4 and 8 a.m. tomorrow morning?
Oh, my God.
It's like,
I think Nashville's getting one. I don't know when, but I've heard that they were getting one, so it's nuts.
yeah, which is great. But at the same time, then when you see, I'm not getting this till Tuesday. What are you talking about?
Ugh. I know. I try not to use Amazon as much as possible just because, like, the whole thing. I hope they get paid well. I hope they get, because I know they were on strike. I don't know how that's going, but I hope they get paid what they deserve because they work for that.
Yeah, they're the reason we all, like me personally, who can't always leave to go to the store, function.
Yeah. Crazy. But I feel like, because I could understand Jam getting like crazy in the first part, you know, when he's like, you know, boo Leslie Knope kind of thing, and or no, he didn't say, I don't think he says boo in the first part, but you know what I mean? Like when he has the megaphone, I'm like, okay, he's a sore loser. All right, get out of the way. But then the actual wedding, when he's like being an ass, I'm like, come on, bro. Come on. It's over.
Yeah.
But he's drunk now and he's not really in control of his actions. So that's not an excuse at all. But you know what I'm saying?
But how did no one remove him from the premises from the first time when he had the megaphone? They should have known, hey, he shouldn't be here for the ceremony. Like that should have been taken care of.
I know.
And
good question. I wonder if they had security there.
yeah, you'd think they would at a gala like that.
I
Like
don't
you'd think there'd be
know.
something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or the police.
I
The
don't know.
police are probably there, right?
Firefighters
yeah.
are. I
Well,
don't know.
the police chief
that
was there.
Chief Bugelberg guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, was there. I don't know. Whatever. He's just such a
But,
little bitch. And
yeah.
Ron does warn him. Okay.
Mhm.
He does warn him. And I do love that Ben absolutely would have punched him in the face too. Just
Oh.
like it reminded me of at the bowling
Yeah,
place where when he
absolutely.
punches that guy. Like he absolutely would have. And Ron is, you know, being a great
like-
friend here and is like, it's your wedding day.
I got
Like
this.
you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just like, if I'm being honest, and I posted a video about this, which sounds so stupid and millennial, but like as I was watching this part was where I started to get like kind of emotional because I was like, we have not seen Ron care about someone this much the whole show. And this like illustration of how important these people are and what he's willing to do to make them happy and to help them and support them and protect them is so beautiful, and I just love it so much.
I agree. Yeah. It's just, this is a very like special, like I'm putting you before me, and Ron doesn't put a lot of people before himself. And it's so wonderful.
Totally.
So,
Ugh.
yeah.
And I also love Amy Poehler here. I think like you see Leslie kind of start to break a little bit because at first she's really strong and she's fighting against Jam with the megaphone back at him and all these things. But this is like the actual moment when she's supposed to be getting married. Like
Well,
this is a big deal.
she sees Ben at the end of the aisle. You can see her face light up because Ben's there waiting for her.
Mhm.
And it's just, that whole moment is just destroyed because Jam is a dick.
Yeah, and it's just really hurtful. I think she's
Yeah.
finally starting to like just be hurt by this whole situation.
Mhm.
And I love the moment when Jam pushes Ron and she's like, oh, like,
yeah.
she knows something's going down.
Yeah.
Okay, because Ron's not going to take someone pushing him around. Okay,
Yeah.
especially this drunk D-bag. You know what I mean?
And he already hates Jam.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, so which again, I was like, Jam is clearly drunk because I don't feel like he would do this soberly, knowing Ron Swanson, you know what I mean? Because this is liquid courage that you must be using because you cannot just push him around, okay?
Yeah. Oh,
And I love the punch. The punch is perfect. That swift, just like quick jab.
he doesn't even know what hit him. Yeah.
And he goes down so fast, and then
Yeah.
Ron straightening his bow tie. It's so lovely. I think it's very James Bond again.
It
I
is.
think
Yeah.
it's great. It's so good.
Agreed. Oh my God.
Well, do you have anything before we get to jail?
No.
Okay,
No.
so
just that I
we're
hate
in
Jam
jail.
so
I know,
much.
me too. So annoying. Well, we're in jail. Ron and Jam are in the cells. Jam says his tooth is broken now because of the punch. And I'm like, well, and that's another thing too. He's like bragging on how he has a nice house and 5 bathrooms. And I'm like, seriously, you're butthurt about losing money, but you're already rich in this small town.
Yeah.
And I understand though, like the rich just want to get richer. So I get it. But I'm just like, bitch, stop being such a sore loser. You have everything you need.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. He has a lot of issues. And I think we
Mhm.
see them more and more as we go through especially the referee episode. If you know what
Oh
I'm
my
talking
gosh.
about, you're like,
Yes.
okay, you need therapy. Like,
Totally. Yeah. You
It's-
need some
yeah.
help.
absolutely.
So Ron is very nice and is saying he's sorry. He apologizes. He ruined
Yeah.
it. But Leslie loved it. And he's like,
I agree.
she's like, that's exactly what you're supposed to do when that mouth is attached to a dumbass, like shouting mean things to the bride.
yeah,
I think that's I think you did the right thing.
I agree. Yeah. And I don't care. I don't think you would care if that ended up with you bailing him out of jail. Like, he stood
Yeah.
up for her.
Right.
And
And
didn't-
it is true. You're right, though. Like, especially at the end when he's like getting belligerent, I do feel like a police officer should have stepped in at that point and been like, okay, break it
Yeah.
up.
It should have been like that episode when Tammy and Ron get into it and all
Yeah.
the cops come, is something wrong here? What's
Right,
going on here?
right.
What's going, like, they all should have been on top of that. I feel like that's in their nature even.
I know. I guess it was funnier when there was like, when that episode with the Tammy thing was like all cops
Yeah.
at that event or
True.
whatever.
That definitely
But
had the laugh
still,
factor.
anyways. But we wouldn't
Yeah.
have gotten the punch, so we needed the punch, and I get it. I do kind of wish that we knew, because she says it, I mean, she doesn't say it offhandedly, and we kind of knew that her dad wasn't in the picture, but I do kind of wish we knew how Leslie's dad was lost, because I don't feel like they ever said, I mean, I'm guessing that he passed away, but like they never really say like he died. I just would love to know the backstory on that.
I think they did insinuate it, that he passed.
Yeah,
But they never
definitely
said how
insinuated.
or anything like that, because Marlene is obviously still like
Mhm.
in love with him. Like, he's
Mhm.
still her person. So I don't think
Mhm.
it was like a divorce or he just left or anything.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I would just love to know that backstory of
Yeah.
like how that happened. But I mean, I do love this line though, because, you know, when she says she doesn't have anyone else, Ken Burns never wrote her back. And she doesn't have any siblings. Like, this is the only person that she wants
Mm-hmm.
to be with her at this point. And I just think it's really special. Like, there's just a lot of special moments in here, I feel,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's a feel good episode, except for those moments of hatred.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And at the police station, it looks like they're in the lobby or something. Andy and April are there. And Andy's like,
Mhm.
well, you better get used to being here because I'm going to be working here and you're going to be like bringing me snacks and stuff. It's so sad.
I know.
And then Chief Bugelberg is like, Chris didn't tell you? And then he's like, tell me what?
But it's
I
also
also
not Chris's job, I don't think.
I literally was just about to say that. I don't think Chris should have been the one to tell him.
No.
Somebody else should have told him. That's stupid. That's
No.
mean.
It's someone in the police, like the station, that needs to tell him. Like, whether it's the
it
chief
needs to be like an
or-
official like paperwork or some shit
Mhm.
or call or something of like, here's your score, sir.
Yeah,
Not like, can you tell him?
right.
That's
no,
stupid.
and I think he asks him that, doesn't he? In the previous episode, he's like, it just might be better coming from a friend, or what does he say?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, at the gala, he's like, poor, like it's a shame about Andy. I
Yeah.
don't think he asks him
You're right.
officially, but I guess he just assumed that Chris would have said something. But that's still
Yeah.
not like something that you say.
No,
But I think his exact words or like similar words or whatever was like, it's a shame about Andy because he passed the written exam, first guy in history to do it, like get a perfect score, but he failed his personality examination.
Yeah.
And like we could really use a guy with his brains on the force or whatever. And Chris is like, okay. So I think he just implies like you might talk to him about it or
Mhm.
whatever is if he asks, but I don't think he actually asks him. Still though.
Yeah, but if I'm Chris, I'm not doing that. I'm like, that's not my job. He'll come tell me when he knows and he's ready to talk about it. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. Well, Ron posted bail, so now he's free to go. And this officer is reading / like acting of Sleep It Off, Councilman. Sleep It Off in the Cell or whatever, Councilman. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, yeah, it shows you like the cops know what went down, and they are aware of who's really like at fault here.
Yeah, 100%. Tracy Howe is the actor who plays Officer Squirgle, by the way, another one of Pawnee cops that keeps coming back.
These names.
Love that. It's so good. That was actually one of the cops last time. His name is Will McLaughlin. His officer name is Officer Killnose, like Kill Nose. And they actually had a nameplate. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, they actually had a nameplate, and he had to like choose. All the officers got to choose, and so he chose that one. And he still thinks that's the reason why they kept asking him back, is because he chose that name or whatever.
Cute.
Which is very precious. But yes,
love it.
Well, so now Anne says the gala's over. Like, we missed it. They're taking it all down. But she's very precious and says that she has some champagne back at the office. So let's just toast to the Pawnee Commons. And that part already is making me cry when I watched that part. I was like, because I know what's coming. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's just so precious that the team, right, are like, well, Leslie takes her wedding night, what was supposed to be her wedding night, to go bail Ron out of jail, which makes complete sense because he punched Jam for her, right? But in the background, they're all like, we're still going to make this a special night for Leslie. Like, what's one of her favorite places on earth? Okay, it's going to be the Parks Department. We can create something small there, and just with her closest friends. And I think it's really intimate and special. And yeah, I think that's why it's so emotional, because you're like, yeah, I don't know. It's just very special the way that they create it.
Yeah, and I mean, like in Tom's speech says, I mean, I feel like we've been waiting for this moment for so long. We're just like, oh my gosh, and so now it's finally happening, and so all these emotions and feelings are coming up, especially with it being a surprise, and she and Ron having his sentimental moment. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Of like explaining how much that he, cares about her and wants to support her and all these things. And I mean, he just gets so deep, and he never gets deep, and like it really brings up everything, you know what I mean? And I have to say, like, when I was first watching this just as an audience member, I don't think that I really cried. I mean, I would like tear up and get sad and stuff, but like now that I'm analyzing it, like we always say, you're in deep, and so you kind of see how long this took and how much we fought, and also like kind of in terms of the actual show outside of Pawnee, like just with the industry, they didn't know if they were going to keep getting picked up and like all these things, and now we're finally here, and it's really beautiful. And this whole thing of like Ron taking her, like putting out his arm so that she can take it, and her finally realizing her realizing that like this is what she's going to walk into. It's very tender and cute,
very
and
very
perfect.
beautifully portrayed by Amy Poehler as well, that moment where she realizes what's happening.
Yeah,
because it's not super like in your face, like, oh, she knows. It's very subtle, but you know she knows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
and then they open the door, and the candles are all lit. There's a red carpet, flowers, lights everywhere. Ben is there. It's so beautiful. Retta's singing. Oh my gosh, it's so darling. I love it so much.
Yeah, I know. So well done.
And the song that Donna is singing as they walk into their wedding is a selection from the Flower Duet aria from the 1883 opera Lakme by Leo Delibes, I want to say. Leo Delibes. Anyways, I just thought it was fascinating. Everybody knows that song mostly just because of like TV and commercials, I feel, have really used it, like especially in like the 2000s.
Yeah.
And then if you're like a music person or a chorus person, you absolutely know it. I definitely sang this song in choir, like as a duet with a friend of mine in high school, and it was like so fun and beautiful. And our voices have always, I thought, like, like the blend of voices is important. And so and that song I don't think was written as a duet, but like somebody arranged it or something. And it's just a beautiful piece. It really is.
It is, yeah. Very,
It was really special.
Retta's, of course, amazing. She does sound a little nervous.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Or just emotional. It could be she could be emotional.
I felt like her breath support was like she was kind of hitching or something a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's not abnormal. But I was like, she probably was nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. for sure.
I know, and I didn't find anything. I really wanted to know how they got that option, or if they asked her, or if she asked them, or I don't know how that happened, but yeah, it's still cute.
It is.
And Champion is there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so nice to have him there.
It's the whole gang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jerry gives this lovely advice. He has a lovely moment because Tom is like, I don't know what to say. Like, all this feels wrong now. And Jerry is like, just say what's, in your heart and not this swaggery Hitch moment. Just like say what you're really feeling. And it's so cute. And April's throwing flowers. It's snowing outside. Oh my God, so special.
I'm so proud of Tom for realizing, because so many times we've seen in the series where it becomes all about him, right? Like with the Entertainment 720 thing, and it's, there's a speech about Ben at some point where he forgets to talk about Ben. I think that's like the 7th season, but he has this moment where he's like, this is what I would want at my wedding, but this isn't my wedding. Like,
right.
This, I'm so proud that he feels like this is so wrong, and and that he doesn't go with what he had planned.
Yeah. And it's great. What he says is great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the vows, oh my gosh, I really lost it at the vows. I was like, oh my God, they're so good. And all the black and white flashbacks, that's so good.
So well done. They really got you with the feels. Like, I mean, the whole episode really, but here with the background and with the flashbacks, like you're saying, and the vows at the same time, you're just like, oh my gosh, look where we started and where we're at. It's so cool.
Oh, it's so nice. And we learned that Ron did make the rings from that sconce. And it was it's those nice silver wedding bands. And that line, I love that when Ben said, that's what really got me, I feel, when Ben's, because I know Leslie and I know like what she's going to say, and just because I can relate to so much of what she says. But when Ben says the whole thing about like how he has been to, what did he say? Like 800 bajillion different states and all these things. And I just love that line of, I was just wandering around looking for you.
Yeah.
It's so special and like, romantical. And it's just so perfect for them,
Yeah. Yeah. But like you're saying, right? Like we expect the feely good words from Leslie, and Ben steps it up here.
Yeah. It's so nice. And that's also the comedy / like the lovely part of Leslie. She says that her draft of her vows was originally 70 pages, but she doesn't have them, and everyone sighs a breath of relief. Yeah. She's like, maybe I do have them somewhere in the office, and they're like, nope, I think we can just go on.
Yeah.
And then I love you and I like you comes up. That's my most favorite line. Chris Carr and I say that to each other all the time.
Oh, I love that.
You guys know Chris from, hosting the podcast with me sometimes. But oh my gosh, it's so good. And I just love that line can be used for so many different relationships. It doesn't have to be romantical to say that, because you can love somebody and not like them, and you can like them and not love them. But when you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so nice. And a fun tidbit of that, Rashida Jones said that her dad, Quincy Jones, rest in peace, said that line to her frequently. And that's where that actually came from.
No way. So that's how it made it into the show? Is because that's what... Oh, how precious.
So beautiful.
She had the most beautiful things to say about him.
I know. I need to watch that documentary. I think she made a documentary about him.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I just read like a little snippet once he passed. Like she put a little snippet out, and just so beautiful.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. So yeah, love that line very much.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I just love how it transcends all the different kinds of relationships. So it's
absolutely
very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Know that. And then Jerry's very cute and does the pronouncement of husband and wife, because he's the one that's, the officiant technically. And it's so nice that he gets to do that. Jerry gets a nice moment.
He gets his moment. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very nice. And he didn't mess it up.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I love that he gets a little moment in there to contribute. Everybody's contributed in some way. And so to get him to contribute is really nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, after that, we immediately get into like the partying moment. DJ Roomba's there. There's waffles, Lagavulin. JJ himself is there serving the waffles.
So cool.
It's so lovely. And then we get to the sad moment with Andy where he finds out, or he's processing the police academy moment. And I am so on April's like same side with her where she says, you know, I'm so proud of you. You worked really hard. You got really close. Like, this is not a failure. This is just not right at this time. Like, you still did a really good job. You know what I mean?
Well, look at the fact that he got a perfect score on the, like, who expected that from Andy? Like, I'd be so proud of him. Like, that's awesome.
I know. It's so good.
Yeah.
And this Chris moment is probably one of my favorite, maybe only favorite Chris moments. I think it's really mature and special and friendly, but also fatherly, but also just like supportive all around, where he says, you know, you're not going to let this get in your way. Like, we're going to dust yourself off and we're going to figure it out together. And this is totally what a dad would say to their kid after a failure, or after like what they perceive as a failure, or whatever it is. So, and then you get that little foreshadowing moment where Anne is smiling when Chris is doing all of that. So
it's very fatherly.
Nice. Yeah.
Is that what she says?
I love that. Paternal.
Chris
can be really paternal.
Yeah.
And I do love that, you know, after oh my gosh. I mean, I've talked about this. You haven't been here for it, but we already know. I don't love the Anne sperm donor situation very much. Or the way that they handled it anyway. I love the show so much, but I just don't think that it's the way that they went about it is weird to me. And so she's been asking like randos for sperm donors. In fact, there's a deleted scene where she's looking at a Facebook page in this episode, like while she's doing Leslie's dress or something, and she's like randomly looking at her high school Facebook people, and she's like, no, that guy's not good or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm glad they cut that. But my point is that now that Chris has had therapy, he seems very stable. He has a good job. He, you know, I think he's a better version of himself than he was when maybe they dated.
Yes.
So,
yeah, he's gone
and
through
she's
it.
a better version of herself, and they've like both grown and evolved. So I could definitely see that him being an option could be great. Plus, they're both so hot, so they would have beautiful babies.
Yes, they would have beautiful babies. Yes.
But yeah, and then during correspondence lunch, that was a whole other thing that like when she's just so awkward. I don't like how they handled it. I don't think it should be done that way, but whatever. Yeah. Rashida does a great job as far as like being awkward and like playing it, but I don't like how they wrote it, and I'll just leave it at that for now. We'll talk about it more next episode.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Andy is now playing the Lil Sebastian song. I love that. Leslie, this song, which is for Lil Sebastian, is for you. Very cute. And yeah, all these little montages. Tom and April made a scrapbook. It's very cute. And she, in the deleted scenes, it wasn't really a deleted scene, but it was just like the B-roll kind of. She's just getting very emotional because she's like, oh my gosh, you guys made a scrapbook? Like, you two worked on a project together and completed a scrapbook? Like, that's nuts.
I love it.
So
meaningful, right?
Thoughtful. And I love the little scene of them dancing, like especially Ron with his little like movements of hands or whatever. It's very precious. And then they're at the wallflower mural at the end. It's so cute.
I love that.
Oh my God.
Full circle moment.
Full circle. I love it.
So well done.
And then they're all sleeping. Yes, well done. And they're all sleeping in Leslie's office because they're all drunk and they can't handle their liquor.
Yeah.
I love Ben's like,
all my friends are
lightweights.
Go,
right?
Yeah.
Well, now I only have the tag left. Do you have anything else?
Same. Yeah.
Well, it's really beautiful because Ron's just showing how he made these rings out of the sconces. And I just love his line. It's so perfect where he says, any idiot with a crucible, acetylene torch, and a cast iron waffle maker could make it. And I'm like, Ron, you're the only one that has those things.
Yeah. People who buy things are idiots. It's my favorite line of the episode.
It's so good. Oh my gosh. I wish I could just make things.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. Yeah.
Takes some skill, that's for sure. I want to start if I have enough money, which I think you can get them at Walmart. It's very cheap. I want to get a sewing machine. That's kind of one of my visions for this year. Because, well, first of all, I want to make a quilt, but secondly, this is so random. So if you're done listening to the episode, thank you so much for listening. But all of my shirts, I have big arms, okay? And I am not ashamed of them anymore because I was really annoyed that I couldn't fit most sleeves don't fit my arms. So I'll take like the scissors literally and just cut the bottom. And you can't really see it unless I lift up my arms. I'll just like cut the bottom seam of my arm so that because it fits everywhere else, literally everywhere else. And so I'm like, okay, we're good. And I feel like it'd be really cute to like take like a funky, cute pattern or something and like sew that into the space where I cut the sleeves or the seam or whatever and make like a whole new shirt with it that fit my arms and are also cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an idea / also a lot of clothes and not just, bigger bodies have this issue, but a lot of clothes just don't fit people right and you got to like alter it. And I want to learn how to do that. So
I think that's great.
So
I love it.
Anyhow. Yeah, and then I could remake Leslie's dress. Oh my gosh, full circle.
Yay. Yes. And a Unity quilt.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Love
Anyways, well, that was Leslie and Ben.
Leslie
Beautiful
and Ben.
episode.
Yes, I know. This is like a monumental moment in the series.
Yes. And also that was another thing that I was at the end of this episode. I was like, that totally could have been a season finale. That could have been like the end kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, I listened to the other podcast for like research and stuff, the like official one or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that a lot of times they were writing episodes as if it was the season finale because they weren't sure if they were going to get picked up or whatnot. And this was at the end of the year and like all these things. So I think that was intentional that they could have ended it on that, but then they got to do more. So it's really exciting
Which
that
we
have
love.
more to review now. Yeah. So, anyhow, next we have correspondence lunch, which will be great. And we're kind of like getting into, I feel, moving on with everybody's lives, kind of just like figuring out where people are going next. Both Ben has a new job and Andy's figuring out what to do without the police academy. But yeah, so we'll get there.
Absolutely. It's going to be good.
Well, I'm glad that you could come, Maddie, today.
Me
It was
too.
very nice to have you.
Nice to be back. The
Yay.
holidays were a time.
I know. I hear you. Oh my gosh. Well, for those of you struggling with, inclement weather, both snow, there's been a snowstorm here and in the South, which is nuts because whatever, fires, all those things, losses, thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review us. And if you have any questions, let us know. But otherwise, we'll just be out here supporting from afar. And thank you so much again.
Yes.
Oh, and also thank you to everybody who sent in voice memos. That was really important to us.
Oh my gosh, it adds so much.
Yes.
We love it.
Well, thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your week or whenever you're listening to this. Bye.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.